Three, two, one, and we are live. Sipping on a water bottle. Got my boy from 8%, Jeremiah Tacker, ladies and gentlemen. He's got one of the coolest haircuts, just like me, that I've ever seen. But this guy is straight from Iowa. He's changing the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, of agents so far in his career, and I look forward to keep working with you in the future. But, dude, how the hell are you doing, man?
Doing good, man, and thanks. This takes a lot to do in the morning. So
Takes a lot of blow drying.
Takes a lot of gel, and I got to get these power alleys. I got to get them all so they don't look so bad. So it takes
power alleys. Oh, I'm starting to get mine, dude. You can see it thinning out.
Yes, sir. That's what happens when you spend some time in this industry. Sometimes you start developing some power alleys, losing some hair. But
it's actually been starting to come back since I started eating raw liver. Like my hair is growing back.
I don't know if I could do the raw liver, man, but I'll leave that to you. You just let me know how it goes, all right?
It's bloody, but, dude, it feels like you just drink a Red Bull after you eat about 6 to 8 ounces. I swear, dude, all the vitamin A overload. It's like the best drug I've ever done that's completely legal.
I'll see if somebody can put that in pill form for me and take it.
They actually do. They put that ground up liver stuff, and, dude, it has a lot of good benefits. I'm surprised more people don't know about that.
That's think crazy.
3,000 years ago, people didn't have iPhones to where they could DoorDash everything.
Exactly.
They didn't have fire.
Well, I know you're
eating it raw.
Yeah, I know you're doing some crazy stuff, and I've watched you do some crazy stuff on some of your things. But it looks like some stuff's working for you, man. So what you shared with me and what I've seen in some of your videos, so that's crazy. I mean, some of the stuff is a little off the wall for me, but I'm more power to you for giving it a whirl. So.
It is, but hell, people will smoke cigarettes and complain about eating a rare steak. Get that crap out of here.
Exactly.
Talk to me about health. All right, let's get this thing started, man. So,
yes, sir.
Jeremiah, what got you in the industry, dude? Before we kind of dive into what we were wanting to talk about.
Yeah, dude. Well, got me in the industry. I actually fell into this industry, man. This was something that, I didn't go to school for. Probably 95% of people in this industry, they didn't go to school to be a life insurance salesman or a business owner in the life insurance realm. A lot of people went to school for business, but no, I went to school for actually personal training, sports medicine, that type of stuff. And, I got out and living in Iowa where I am now, there's not a lot of need for that around here. I mean, there's just not a lot of opportunities for that type of stuff. You go to California, you go to Florida when it's warmer more of the time, you have more of a need for that. So kind of just, I was in a retail position and at a Dick's Sporting Goods of all places. And I just, went to my manager one day and was like, and I was climbing up the ladder there pretty quickly. But I went to him one day and I'm like, where does this go from here? How does this work when I move up? And he kind of shared with me some things that I just wasn't about. And working the weekends, little did I know in this industry, I'd be working the weekends as well, but I get to choose, what weekends I work, not somebody tell me when I have to work, or holidays, or where I have to live. A lot of those things really set with me because I wanted to set up a family and not have them be moving around all the time. So actually feeling this, I went down to just a job application where they kind of give you some tests and they fill you in with temp jobs, like a temp agency type of deal. Just did some tests and about 4 weeks later, they called me with a job opportunity at a local carrier opportunity here in Cedar Rapids. And they're like, we have a temp job in the mailroom of all places. So that's where I started out, in the mailroom at a carrier that I work pretty close with now because they're in our backyard. But fell in this industry, and this fell is the right place. I had unfortunate incident happened to me when I was younger. My father passed away when I was 8, and he had life insurance, but he didn't have enough. And the way that everything happened, there was some legal stuff, some lawsuits and things where my family was able to get some money because of how he passed away. That helped fill in, the remainder of what we needed basically outside of his life insurance he had. So we just didn't have enough. And going back, looking at that, I just felt that I'm a huge believer in Jesus Christ. I'm a huge Christian, and I just felt like, that was setting a path for me, and falling into the insurance industry was just kind of the next step for me. It happened several years later from that event, but it just kind of happened for me that way. And the Lord has blessed me with some great opportunities, some great people that I've worked with that have helped me be where I am today. And I'm trying to pass that stuff on. Jesus was a giver. I want to give that back. I felt that so many things have happened to me that I've been so blessed with, that it's time for me to return the favor and give back. So that's kind of how I got into it, man. That's a short story version of it, of how I fell into this industry and how I've climbed from there. So
That's awesome, man. And who would you say has helped you get the farthest? Is there a certain role model out there, or a certain mentor who helped you kind of climb up to where you're at?
yeah, that somebody that believed in me probably would have never given me. I probably wouldn't have gotten the shot. So um, he's the guy that ran our agency before this. So he was reaching the age of retirement. I kind of worked with him at the carrier that I was with. Worked underneath him. He was the head of the sales department there, at where I worked, where I worked with the carrier. And he left there a couple of years before I did, and started up this agency, but was hitting the retirement age, and it was slowly starting to just go away. I mean, he wasn't putting the time, wasn't putting the effort into it. When he heard about me leaving the carrier that I was at because they were relocating my position, he reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to have this opportunity to run an agency. And I was like, of course, that would be, I'm not going to turn down that opportunity. I've been in this industry for long enough. I've through my time at the carrier, I helped, develop agents. I helped train them, I helped build agencies. I helped, do all those things. So I had the background. I just didn't have the business background. So, he knew my intent. We had long conversations on my intent of what I knew, what my energy level was going to be bringing into this, and if I could really do this. And, after several meetings with him, we got into it and talked to him a little bit about where I saw this going and where he wanted it to be, where I thought it should be. And he knew I didn't have the business background. He did. So he kind of mentored me for the next 2 years on how to run a business, how to keep track of everything needed to run an agency and to make sure that you're staying afloat and making revenue and not spending more than you make, those types of things, keeping yourself in line. And then eventually he retired, and I took over running the agency for him. So we've grown it a ton since then. So, I mean, we were down to like, under 50 producing agents on this agency, which is, in some cases you look at it and like, wow, that's quite a few. But now we've doubled that. We've doubled that, and trying to 3 times it here before the end of the year to get that, our writing agents up, keep our production up, keep helping agents out there. And we're national, man. So we handle agents all over the world, even in New York, or all over the country, even in New York. So we're open to helping all those. And again, I'm here. I've been blessed because of his fruitfulness of letting me come in and do this and teaching me how to, run an agency and make it profitable and to help people, that I want to start giving back and helping those folks. So that's what I'm kind of doing now, is trying to continue to grow ours, but while at the same time helping folks. And in a lot of different ways, we kind of touched on a couple of different ways that we might get into later of how I'm helping folks and want to continue to help them. So.
Okay, and before we dive into that, because this is probably my favorite stuff, is talking about all of the back office structure,
Yes.
SOP. Like, most people run agencies like they would a small mom and pop lawn repair business. What's an SOP?
Yeah.
But what are some of the most important things that you were taught to focus on actually running a business?
Yeah. So the big thing that, the first thing you told me out of the gate is I have to learn to delegate. I'm not a delegator at all. I love to do things on my, because that way I know it gets done. I had to learn to trust people a little more, to delegate. That was a big thing that he told me, that we're going to have, you're going to get there, because if you continue to grow, you're going to need some help. And I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in contracting. I hate contracting. Actually, it's one of the worst things in the insurance industry is contracting. I actually hate it. And so it was things like that. Just having an admin, track production and do stuff. So it's things like that. Be able to delegate and trust people to do what they need to do. Make sure that you vet them. You have a good hiring process. You vet them enough to make sure that you trust them. That you can come and you train them well. You make sure to take the time. Like you can bring somebody in, and they can probably do a job, but if you're not going to spend the time training them, they're not going to do it how you want them to. They're not going to do it how they need to do it. And they're not going to do it efficiently and effectively. And so it's going to cost you more time in the long run. But spend some time training your folks when you bring them in. Like I know, like even I had to take time away from business aspects I need to be a part of to train people. But that time away from those things that I implemented into those people that I brought in made the business run so much more efficient as we grew. And so that was a big thing. The other thing is managing debt. I mean, it's a thing that you can get caught up in, and it can catch you in a big way. So you have to. There's going to be chargebacks. There's going to be roll up debt, but you got to stay on top of that stuff. So managing debt was a big one. So delegating, managing debt were two really big things that they gave me. Then the third one I will tell you is just being able to manage your overall numbers. Like you need to know what you're bringing in, you know how much you're spending. Those three things are so big because you can't do everything on your own. There's no way I could do everything on my own right now. I appreciate my staff. They work hard. They've been trained well, and they do great things for the team to help us grow. And without them, I mean, I'd be buried. I wouldn't. I mean, I don't even know when I'd sleep if I didn't have them to help run our business. And the agent debt, yes, if you're not on top of that, I mean, I'll tell you, to be honest, man, I had $73,000 roll up to us in debt last year from one agent. That was one agent. We just, he kind of slipped through. He was one of those that he wrote a bunch of business. It wasn't something I went out with him. We trained, we did all this stuff. And then I found out that he had, he was doing some shady things. I won't go into detail here, but he was doing some shady things that were hard for us to catch, even hard for the carrier to catch. And the carrier that was with didn't catch it either, unfortunately. So yeah, I ended up getting 73,000 and one agent rolled up. Now, we're trying to reconcile that and take care of that, but that's what can happen to you in this business. I mean, that's not out of the realm to happen. And so you have to manage that agent debt and know who know who you're advancing and how much you're advancing and what type of, make sure, key things. One thing right off the bat, if you bring an agent on, you advance them, and all of a sudden they put in 8 cases, check. Are they all family members? I will tell you, I've been burned by this multiple times.
I was just about to tell a story about that.
And go ahead. I mean, go ahead, but you can feed off that. But yes, watch out for that. Go ahead. I mean, go ahead. Tell your story too, because it happens all the time where you bring in these guys, they write 8, 10 of their family members, get advanced, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 on you, and then they bounce.
Hey, Mom, cancel your policy.
Exactly what happens. So you have to learn to manage your debt, and you have to watch your numbers. You have to know, what you're bringing in, how much you're spending. You have to be profitable. That's what businesses are about. If you're going to run a business, which you are, if you're running an agency and you're going to have downlines, you're not just an upline to them. You are running a business at that point, and you have to learn to manage that business, or you get caught up in a lot of things. So those are 3 really big items. If you're going to start an agency, to make sure that you trust and can delegate to people, that you manage your agent's debt or in your company's debt, and you manage your numbers as well, revenue and costs.
Yeah, all I care about is net free cash flow. What is my bottom line? What is the bottom line? What's the EBITDA? Most people don't even know what EBITDA is.
No, and I didn't know it 5 years ago either. So, I mean, it's something that you can learn and can do, but EBITDA is you want to focus on bottom line. You want to know what your revenue is, how much you're bringing in, because That's yours, man. It's how much you can put back into your business then. What are you going to be able to do from that? Who can you hire to delegate more of the work that you don't like to do or you're not good at, but you got to have that revenue to be able to do that. Like I tell my kids, money doesn't grow on trees. I think it does. I think this little plastic card, that I have in my wallet does magical things, that they don't see where the money comes from, but the money doesn't grow on trees. You got to have that
It
revenue
grows in other people's pockets.
Exactly.
We just got to move it into ours. But dude,
Exactly.
that roll-up debt, man, I see people it's like when people lose or get liquidated in crypto. Like, that's how easy it is. It can happen overnight. I saw a girl, she was taking like deceased people's banking account information and driver's licenses from the internet and writing a shit ton of Americo policies, dude.
Yes, sir.
Like, dude, you're talking 100, like 6 figures.
And it's crazy because, these carriers are huge. So, you can, you're going to get caught eventually, but how long can you get away with it? Because these carriers are huge. And if you're like me, we're independent. So I'm not a career-based shop. I don't have all the apps coming through me. You're contracted to the carriers, you're direct to them. They're paying you. I don't even pay you. The carriers pay you your commission with us. So everything's done through the carriers. So we really rely on the carriers, and it's hard for us to do that, to rely on them. They're good, but they're so big that you got to be able to manage your stuff yourself as well. You got to have somebody that's watching that. I have somebody that does now that watches our pending, that goes through every carrier almost 3 times a week, at least, if not more, and looks at the pending. Make sure she's looking at agents, looking at their pending business, make sure there's not any, she'll look at how much decline business they have. She'll look at how much, chargeback stuff they have, how much canceled stuff they have, all that stuff. We keep a pretty close eye now that I'm able to delegate that. And, we're able to keep a better eye on it because I love the carriers. I have nothing against them. They're great, but they're huge, and a lot of individual agents can slip by if you're not careful.
Oh, absolutely. And back to your acquisition piece, like finding good talent. I personally, like, that's why I love having such like high margins on price, is that I can now afford to just pay someone who already knows how to do this. Like, find someone who's already ran the race and just pay them more to come over here. Then you don't have to worry about training them.
Correct. You still got to do a little training, but not near as much.
It's nowhere near like just bringing in a brand new agent and show. Like, you have to take time out of your day or someone else's to get them trained up. I would rather just find the person who's already good at it, bring them in, because over a long enough time horizon, I think it's more profitable.
Yeah, I've seen it work both ways. I've talked to guys. We do it that way. We,
it depends on what it is.
It is, and we do it that way. I just don't have being a nationally. Being a national organization where we bring on agents from a national perspective, I don't have the revenue, the time to all that to be bringing on an agent over in Oregon, going and spending 2 weeks with them, then coming back and going over to Florida and then spending 2 weeks over there training. We don't have that capability, but I have people under me that will do some of that stuff, that are interested in that are growing agencies underneath of us. So I've seen it both ways. I've seen folks that'll bring on, and they're a little slower at bringing them on. We can bring them on a little faster if they, like you said, if they already know what they're doing, and you just can, you can help them do something that they're missing from their other IMO, or, you can help them with a lead source, or, stuff we talked about, previously, those types of things. If you can help them out with those things, and they, they're not getting that support where they're at now, but they're doing a ton of business, just need some guidance and help, and want to know where to go next, what the newest best thing is that they can transition into. That's some of the things that I've seen a lot of with people coming over to us, but we are not the group that's going to bring on a brand new person. Myself, it would be under one of our what I would call agency leaders, someone that we trust, that works with us, has worked with us for a long time, that can do those things, that can go out and is closer to you than what I am, can train you a little bit, can go out in the field with you, spend that time with you and do that. So we do have folks that will do that, but primarily we have primarily our folks are guys that are doing well in the industry, just looking for this or that or something else, support leads or just something else going on that they need help with that we can provide that maybe their other organization wasn't. So I'm with you there. I that's the way we run it, but there's a lot of
mainly for the higher up stuff. Like instead of me training someone to do marketing,
yeah,
I'll just find the best marketer out there.
oh yeah, that's
what they're worth, because then I don't have to worry about it. I can truly delegate at that point. But
that too.
Back to your advanced thing, I've never heard anyone talk about this.
Yeah,
I think it'd be interesting. Do you ever recommend an agent to go as earned?
It's tough in the industry because not many agents can survive on as earned. And so it does. It takes a little bit of vetting on our end to make sure that we can trust the individual. And it's not saying that everybody's bad that comes into the organization. Everybody that wants to be an agent is bad. It's just, when you get burned so many times, that's the way you have to start thinking about it, to protect yourself, to protect your agency, to protect, everything that you've worked so hard for. So you really have to do some vetting and make sure and watch what they're doing, because and try to guide them in a right direction, but also watch what they're doing, because man. I mean, in less than a year, I got hammered with $73K in debt, and you know what? It was tough to have to pay that back. I had to pay that from somebody else doing their business. Somebody else made a ton of money off of that. So $73K they made, and I had to pay it all back, and they did not. I didn't make that on their override. I didn't make that, but I had to pay back not only my override because of the chargebacks, but I also had to pay back their debt. And so I don't even know what it total would be, but I just know that I know from that agent it was $73K, and I got tacked on some overrides on top of that, obviously. So, but to your point, man, yes, you got to be careful, and no fault to anybody that comes on with us. We'll ask the questions, we'll vet you out, and sometimes we start guys out at 50% advance, sometimes we start guys out at 75. It just depends on if they were given to us by a referral, how well they have things set up and what they're doing. We ask a lot of good questions about production, about marketing budget, things like that we want agents to have. If you come to me and you want to work with us, and I ask you, what you have for a marketing budget, which means, what are you doing for, bringing on clients, how many leads you buying, and you don't even know what a marketing budget is, you're probably not a right fit for us. It's just not something that I'm prepared to work with if you don't even know what a marketing budget is or has something prepared to be successful. Having a marketing budget, it helps you be successful. How are you set up to buy leads? How are you set up to get clients in that? How are you set up to write business? That's what I want to know. And and how much business are you doing? Those are all things that are very important to us.
I think the point I was trying to make is, like, sometimes you find the 40, 50K a month producers who are like consistent. Me personally, I kind of wish I would have just left my advance and stayed on as earned, because then you just have a recurring revenue sort of thing, instead of making all this money up front one month, next month you don't make anything. Like, you have those months that just aren't.
And when you get there, when you get there, that's perfect. I know we have a lot of guys that have been with us for, obviously I've been with since 2017, but we have guys that have been in the business. Been running this agency since 2017. I've been in the business since 2013 as an independent agent, but 2007 is when I entered. But we have guys that were writing before that are with us now that, they want to go on as earned, and that's fine. That's
I think it's pretty safe.
Well, yeah, when you can get there to when, yes, you can live off of, 10, 20, 30K a month, with most people can. I mean, but when you're making that in renewals and can add some new business to it, and first year commissions to that. But renewals are huge. I would say, like, if you are a new agent in this industry, that a lot of you are focused on what you're making first year. We're concentrating on those renewals. That's what's going to come back to you in 10 years from now. And you're going to still be making money. I golf with a buddy of mine last Thursday. We went out. It was just the two of us. There was a guy behind us that came in, and he caught up to us, and we're like, hey, you want to golf with us? And he was in the insurance industry. He sold his agency in 1992. So I asked him, I was like, hey, how things going? He's like, yeah, I still get like $2,000 a month from renewals. He sold his agency in 1992, guys. 1992. That's almost 30 years ago, and he's still getting almost $2,000 a month in renewals. Like, that's crazy. Like, so for tip for you guys for today, if you take anything away from this call, anything I've said is quit worrying about what you're getting first year. Make sure you're getting a legit amount. You don't take 70% and have to buy your own leads and stuff. I mean, don't get ripped off, but concentrate on what you're getting in renewals. And the companies are getting a little stronger on the renewals.
What about the companies who don't even have renewals?
Yeah, that's tough, man. I mean, he can't help that. You can't help that. But those guys, the companies that do have renewals, I mean, take advantage of those companies, of those products they're giving that. And final expense is big. You can almost find a final expense product with every carrier that's going to give you some type of renewal. And make sure that don't ask questions. I mean, you can ask questions on the first year, but make sure you ask questions about the renewal commission, how much you're getting there, and make sure they send you that commission schedule that shows what your renewal commission is, because those are very important. Again, guy 30 years out of the business, caught in golfing, making $2,000 a month, still renewals. So that's where you want to focus in some of those cases. But yes, if you can go as earned, by all means do it. I mean, I hate messing with chargebacks. I hate doing that stuff. I mean, I get them in my own personal business. It happens, they're going to fall off the books, and then you got to pay that stuff back. And it's, if you just go as earned, they just don't make their premium payment and you don't get the commission off it anymore. You don't have to pay anything back. You just stop getting that small commission off a $65 premium. I mean, that's all it is. You don't have to worry about paying debt back. You don't have to worry about those things. But if you can do it, go as earned, work as hard as you can for as long as you can until you get up to the point where you can do that. And pay attention to what you're getting monthly or what's going towards paying back your advances, and get that as earned as quickly as you can. It makes things a whole lot easier and safer, like Mason said. So.
All right. And let's kind of get into what you were wanting to talk about. Like, why do you like this industry so much? Why do you like being able to do this for other agents?
Yeah, man, it's because so many people have done so much stuff for me. I mean, I haven't talked about the first mentor I had, but because the second one I had probably made the most impact. But the first mentor I had, he saved me in this career. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. I would have walked. To, probably a year into this industry, I would have walked away and said, this is not for me at all. But he continued to stick with me, be there with me. Just wasn't one of those guys that, yeah, you need to come in and do this. And, he came in and sat with me and helped me do calls, and he went on appointments with me, and he did those things that kept me in, and he would always be there if I, eventually, obviously, I started doing things on my own, but he was always there, always a phone call, always a text away, always with a positive mindset where mine may not have been in that time frame. Always telling me to keep going, to never quit, that this could be a very lucrative deal for me, and that I had what it takes to do it. I just needed to continue to practice, do it. I mean, doing is how you learn in this industry. You have to do things and make those calls and make those appointments and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. Because I'll be honest with you, you could sit down with me for 24 hours and I couldn't tell you all the little, all the little things, all the little niches that in this industry that you'll learn by doing it. And so you have to just go out there and do the things. Like I said, make the calls, do the appointments, mess up, screw up appointments, miss sales because you screwed up, but learn from it. And that's how you do it. And he made me do that. And he made me want to come back, and he made me continue to do the things that I didn't want to do anymore. And so he kind of saved me in this industry from leaving it and missing out on what I'm doing now.
Saved you from yourself?
What's that?
Saved you from yourself?
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing. And that's where most people fall into that trap. They just get so defeated and things and we have slumps. Everybody does. I mean, there's guys
it's like most of them coming in, they expect to be good at something that they've never even done. Like,
exactly.
I want to hit a home run. Okay, well, have you ever picked up a baseball bat before? Like, have you even put on cleats?
Yeah,
Okay, so why would you expect to be good at something you have not even done yet?
yeah,
Like, let alone practice. Like, you're going
exactly.
to suck for a year. Luckily, I got really good at this really fast because I had to make mortgage or I had to make foreclosure, and I'm still in my house.
So
Like,
you're winning.
yeah, what do you think? What do you think your hardest piece was to kind of fit in the puzzle? Was how long was the learning curve before this business kind of finally clicked for you?
It was almost 2 years. If you go back and you watch my interview with Cody Askins, I talk about it a little bit. I think in the first, no, now I was doing this part time when I first started out, but I made like less than 10 grand in insurance sales in my first year. I didn't give it anything. I had a full time job. I had money coming in. We were living off of that. This was kind of bonus for me. I didn't really know if this was going to be a full time deal for me. I'd plan on staying with the company I was at and having a full time job. And just making this a part time deal. So and then probably the second year is when it clicked. After the second year is when it clicked. I probably did, I don't know, somewhere between 25 and 30K part time. And I was like, man, I did that part time. What if, even if I doubled that and did this full time, I'd be making almost the salary that I'm making at my full time job, but a little bit less at that point in time. And I was like, man, I wonder, kind of started getting more and more in my head. The more and more he kept pushing me, and the more I kept doing and putting more time into it. Now I missed a lot of things. I missed some kids' games. I missed some stuff with, time with my wife. I missed those things, but it was all worth it now because I'm getting all that back. So it's probably about 2 years. Then I really hit it. Then probably my third year, I think I did right around that 60, 70K mark part time. And that happened my third. And then I think it was 2016. So then 2017 is where I actually hit my first six figures because I actually only spent about 5 months at my job. So I spent about 5 months doing it part time. The other 7 months I was doing it full time. And I actually hit over six figures that year. And I'm like, that's the same year that I left my position because they were relocating. But from prior years, I'm like, well, I could do this. And that's when I left and I put my full-time effort into it, did over six figures. And then I entered into this agency, helping other agents do it. But that's why I love this industry so much, is because the fact that, one, I can give back, I can give back and help others, but it also helps me. I can make money doing that. I can make money helping others while also helping them make money. So it's a win-win for both of us in that situation. But I also I save those people that just want to leave their 9 to 5s and are tired of the grind and tired of working for others and just want their own, that entrepreneurial spirit that they have it in them, but they just don't know it yet. Being able to bring those out in those people and help them succeed with it, because a lot of people are so scared because there's a ton of people I run into that just think this is an overnight success industry.
No, you own your own job.
Yeah,
You own your own job, and you usually end up working double what you left. But even your part-time salary working in this industry was more than 99% of agents' full-time salary of 2 years in this industry.
exactly. And it's not easy. I'm not here to tell you it's easy. That's how I got these, man. That's why they're there. It's hard, but it's so worth it. You hear so many stories. I go to so many conferences and talk to so many agents, hear from so many people that, miss this and miss that, and anniversaries and these and funerals for their loved. They miss all these things because they were putting their time and effort into whatever they're doing. And it doesn't always have to be life insurance. It could be any entrepreneurial deal you
Go
have.
sell solar panels.
Yeah, it doesn't matter
anything.
what it is, but yeah, you have to put that time in. And like Mason said, he made a great point. It's not an overnight success. Half the time you end up working 80 hours instead of 40 in 1 week. But now, I did that already. I did that. I fought through it, and now, I can work from anywhere. I can work on vacation with my family if I need to. I can take days off if I need to. I can do whatever I want. I am my own boss. I can do whatever I want. I have that luxury to still be able to help people, but also have that free time back. I had to utilize it for a while, but now I got it back, and it's a beautiful thing about this industry. And most people don't make it through that cutoff phase. There's a strong cutoff phase, and most people don't. They give up. And when the time that they're just about to transition into the phase where you and myself and other entrepreneurs are at now, where they're enjoying the fruits of their labor, they just shut it down too early, and I see so many memes about this, where, I think one I remember is like, there's two diggers. They're like mining. They're mining underground, and you got one that's above the other, but he stops, and you can see all the diamonds and the gold.
Like 6 inches away, 6
yeah,
feet
like 6
away,
inches away, and you got one guy that kept going, and he hit a gold mine. So it's those types of things that I relate so much to this industry, because you have so many people quit too early.
Well, just how fast you pay down the time tax of ignorance.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had a month to make things work.
Yeah.
I had to borrow money from family to go buy my insurance test. I started calling other people's leads, booking them appointments. I would get a 50-50 split or whatever they made. I ended up I wrote $15,000 of premium my first month in, and
Nice.
It clicked. I wrote 40 month, my first full-time in on my own pen. And I was like, okay, I can make this work easy. But I was also putting in 4 times the amount of work that anybody else was. And I just got really good at this really quick because I paid down that time tax of ignorance a lot faster. Like that's what most people take a year or two to do, even in your shoes. And I managed to do that in 1 month. They're like, how long have you been in the industry? Like 10 years based on the number of work I've done.
Exactly. But yeah, if you can do, that's his thing. You had, and that totally different than you. You had to make mortgage. You had to do that. I had a full-time job that we were already living a comfortable life with that. But I was at the point where I'm like, man, I talk to these agents every day. I'm training them. I'm helping them grow. I'm helping them recruit and build agencies. Could I do this on my own? Because this is something I could do. And that kept eating at me. Like, why am I continuing to work here when I might be able to do this? And that's
made the belief shift, because I have found the best way to coach people, like the best way to see a drastic change in their life, is not to give them all these tips and tricks and like just change their beliefs and change the way they look at things. Like I've quit. A lot of my training now is seriously just about beliefs, because I don't care if your character traits or your skills are there, because it's a 3-sided ladder. Your character traits and your skills are built like 10 stories tall, but your beliefs are only 3 steps of the ladder.
Yeah.
Like, if those are not up there, because your perception of how you do what you do, when that changes, you are 10 times more convicted.
Exactly.
You see it in a totally different way. It's the basis for creating change is the internal dialogue. So when did that change for you? What happened?
Yeah, it was that constant feeding into my mind. Like, it started slowly, because I didn't work in the sales department until I shifted over into the sales department. Then I got licensed. I didn't even know if I could work on the sales team for the carrier that I was working for full time. That was part of just my mindset. But then when I got in there, started succeeding, and then saw all these folks, they would come into our office for events that, I'd talk to them about how they got started, what they did. And some of them, as I started to go into this, it was, they would say it was because of you. It wasn't, this person, because of you. You helped train me on this. You helped give me, put me in the right place, that I needed to be to make these sales and to make this work. And you helped me teach how to recruit and how to bring agents into our agency and grow. And I'm like, it started to shift slowly when those folks that were coming into me that were uber successful, that previously weren't because of me, started to be because of me. And I'm like, man, what if I would have brought that guy on underneath me? The company's making all this money off of him, or some other guy that was probably supposed to be doing what I did for him is making uber money off of this guy, when I could have been, because I helped him. I helped him do what he needs to do and made him, he thanked me. He comes in the office and thanks me for the stuff I did for him. And that was kind of the clicking of the mindset. Like, went from, can I do this, to I can do this because I did it. I see it. I'm just not, I'm not benefiting from it anyway, except for, my job maybe gives me a 3% raise at the end of the year. Awesome. Yay me. One of those things, that's how I'm benefiting from it. No, that's crap, 3% raise. And this guy just did like, $250K in business, and his upline's making, whatever off of him, 10, 15, 20%, whatever he's making off of him. That's a lot more than 3%.
Some companies 70.
Or some companies 70,
Oh
depending
my gosh.
depending on who you're with or who you
is profitable.
Yes. And it's crazy. But, when I looked at that and said, they're paying me 3%, give me a 3% raise at the end of the year. And I know what this guy did and how much production he did and what commission level he's at, what commission level his upline's at, and how much, I did the math, at that point in time, how much could I have made off of him, helping him be successful, turning his life around. And it just clicked. That's the moment that.
So once you had certainty.
It was basically certainty for me. It wasn't, it was different. And it's crazy how, just going from even me to you, how different it was. It wasn't certainty for you. It was that, man, I have to make mortgage payment.
I was certain I had to make my mortgage, but that's what I'm saying. When you're certain about something, it's so easy to just act on it. I didn't have all this anxiety.
Yeah.
Because all anxiety comes from is you focusing on what you do not want instead of what you do want.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, the moment you change your focus, all that bullshit disappears.
It's definitely mindset, man. If you can fixate and focus on what your goals are and what you want to do, and put that in your brain nonstop every day, like saying, write that stuff down every day. There's no reason why you shouldn't write down goals and write down stuff every day. Positivity, anything that's positive, goals you want to hit, things you want to do, all that stuff helps you be on track for that stuff. It keeps that negative thoughts, as anxiety, out of your mind, because you're constantly looking at this sheet and post it where you see it every day, whether it's right above your computer or right next to your desk, wherever it may be. Post it and look at it. When you start to see things creep in, when those negative thoughts start to creep in, you take a look at what you want to do and refocus. Take your mind off of those negative things and focus on, what your goals are and what you need to do to get those goals, and have those written down. Not just what your goals are, but what you have to do to hit those goals, because that can be something that's lost in the transition too. Because if you can hold yourself accountable at that point. If you don't have something written in there, what you need to do, where you can look back and say, did I do that? And if you can say, no, I didn't do that, that's where it starts. Okay, I need to do this. Have I done this in the past? Last week I did this and I hit those goals. This week I didn't do this. I didn't hit my goals. Now you set yourself back on course. If I do those, I'm going to hit my goals every day. And then I'm going to get better and better at everything I do. And just having that mindset and being around like-minded people. I know I've hit so many agents up, get to 8%, get to SWA, get to all these events where you can get around agents that are successful, that have done this in this industry for a long time. And, a lot of people respond to me and be like, oh, it's just a bunch of rah. Half the time,
to be defensive over that, there is a lot of rah in this space. Like, there's a lot of cheerleading, and then 3 days after an event, you go back to your normal life where you don't know how to do anything.
Exactly. But that's my point. I tell those guys, yes, there is a lot of rah. And guess what? Half the conferences I go to, yes, do I need could I hear from a motivational person and be fine? Yes. But I go there to connect and network with people. Yes, I go, I have to buy a ticket to see all the rah stuff, but I don't need the motivational stuff. I'm motivated enough. I have the motivation. I know that, but some people do need that. But for me, it's more the networking. I go there and talk to people, and it's not recruiting.
How me and you found each other.
Yeah. I don't go there to recruit people. I go there to talk to people about, hey, what are you doing? What can I learn from you? How can I get better? I've been in this industry for 15 years. Guess what? There are things I don't know. there's things I get stumped by every day. There's things that I learn every day. I learned so many things just from watching, connecting with people, just getting these conferences and opening myself up and not being so afraid to just connect with someone and be like, hey man, how are you doing? And what are you doing? And how are you making it work? I'm struggling with this. Have you ever struggled with that? Just opening yourself up, being vulnerable, because he doesn't care. He has no affiliation with me. Like he doesn't care why I'm struggling. He doesn't care about those things. He just wants, he may just want to help. And that's what I'm looking for when I go there. I'm looking to help people. And I'm looking to get help from others, because you can always learn. This industry is always evolving. And if you're not staying at the top of your game, you're going to fall short. You have to continue.
What's the biggest thing that you're struggling with right now? And I'll kind of tell you mine. Like mine was the goal thing, because I identified with being a hustler. I was that guy who went out and blew the leaderboards off. I was always number one. I got all the rewards, all the trips. And like a lot of that, what made me my first 100K was writing my goals down and using my brain. But now I've stopped writing my goals down and just started installing habits. Like instead of setting goals, I just started setting habits, and not like making my bed has never made me any money. Like I quit doing all this crazy stuff and like just focused on the shit that mattered. Like instead of setting goals that I have no control over, I had to change my beliefs and just said, if I install these habits, it would be unreasonable for me over a long enough time horizon not to stack up all these wins and be where I want to anyways. But that way I'm not emotional about it.
Yeah.
Because what happens if you do or you do not get those goals? That's what I kind of had to shift my mind around. And the moment I did, I cleared my first 6-figure month in my life last month. And like that was empowering for me. But like you have to change your mind, because what gets you to level 1 will not get you to level 2. I had to change my beliefs. But if you're like in that first phase, absolutely write your goals down. I'm just saying what worked for me.
Yeah.
But what's the biggest thing that you're struggling with right now?
I mean, there's always things that we're struggling with. I'd say the biggest thing right now, it's sad to say, but it's a little bit of motivation, to be honest with you. I'm struggling with motivating myself anymore. And so I'm trying to get back into the game. I talked to you a little bit about,
well, dude, I'll just do a NLP session with you. I'm serious. We'll clear all that right up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm all for that.
You're one of my boys, but like, dude, it'll show you how to control your emotions and your thoughts. Like you can control how you feel and what you think at any point of any day. And that has by far been the best tool I've ever learned in my life, because it's been able to let me control where any situation, conversation, relationship goes. And like, dude, that's what like the ultimate execution is. Like being able to get what you want.
Yeah. And I'm being very vulnerable, because so it is motivation. I've hit a lot of the goals that I plan on hitting. And I continue to put goals and to try to drive motivation, but it is, I'm one of those guys that I have to be busy. And so, 2 things I'm doing to stay motivated right now is that I've been out of writing business for quite some time, because I'm running the agency, making sure things are going right. And if you watched, The Ultimate Agent with Cody, Michael Vigil is another guy that I related to really well, because he's in this kind of the same spot as me. So what I'm doing now, 2 things to stay motivated is I'm going back out in the field. So I talked to you, I bought 3,000 lead mailers here in the last couple of months, and I'm going to go out and write some business, and whether it's final expense or Medicare. But we're also not transitioning, I will say adding to our portfolio. So I'm changing a little bit. We were primarily simplified issue life business. That's what our agency is. That's what we're built on. That's what, 75% of our agents do, 80% of our agents do is simplified issue life business. And we're now incorporating Medicare supplement and MA business. So I don't know much about that. And
what do you think has caused you to lose some motivation?
Just me. I need something new. I need things to do. I think it's just
a new object.
Yeah, I'm just getting too comfortable because I've hit my goals. You know, we're doing really well, and I
What
think,
were your original goals that you wanted to hit? Like what were you really motivated about that now that you have it, it's kind of gone like that. This is what I teach people is like
yeah,
that form of leverage. Like eventually the lever wears out and you have to find a new form of leverage.
yeah, and the biggest thing and the thing that kept me occupied for the longest time was just learning the business aspect of this job and turning this or running this agency and turning this agency around, and that kept my mind going. I mean, that was about a good solid 2-year process for me when I got in here, because I didn't know much about the business side of things. I didn't even know how to spell EBITDA, or what it meant or anything like that when I got in here. So it was things like that. But my goal when I first initially got in here was to uh, double our revenue and double our production. And I did that I did that while I was in the first 2 years learning this other stuff. So I took on basically two tasks at once, not only learning the business side of things, but also doubling our revenue and doubling our production. And so I did that within the first 2 years. We got the double. And then, so in 2019, I made another deal with myself to double that. And now since then we have now succeeded with that. So, I found success in those things. And it's just like, I've always, I played baseball, I played college ball. I did that. It was always hard. There was always, a better pitcher, a different hitter I had to face. There was always a new task I had to do. And, getting to where I'm, in a new trophy, a new something to go after. And yeah, once you hit those things so many times, it becomes like, oh, well, what's next? What can I do next that's going to challenge me? It starts to be less and less of a challenge. As you get better and you do more things, it starts to get less and less of a challenge for you. And so that's where I need that challenge. I come from that competitive background. I mean, quick sidetrack. My wife's pretty competitive too. But speaking about my kids, I have a 17, I have a 9, and I have a 5-year-old. My 17-year-old's probably his work ethic is above and beyond most 17-year-olds for something that he wants, which is baseball. But my 9 and my 5-year-old, they can't even ride bikes in the street because it's a race. And if somebody loses, somebody freaks out. Like, they can't even ride bikes together because they're so competitive that if they're not even racing, but if someone wins and gets to our driveway first and, somebody loses, they freak out. So that's just my competitive nature, that I always want to be competitive. And I've done that and had success doing it. I mean, like I said, I'm very blessed what I have. I hope none of this is coming off of, I want to be very humble in the fact that I'm very blessed in what I've been able to do, but I do need that challenge. Just part of my nature, part of my human being nature, that I need that challenge. And I'm like, what do I do now? What goals can I set to make it a challenge? What can I do to do this? And now it's just getting back into the business again. And it's not really transitioning, but adding in a Medicare something, which I know really nothing about. And now now I got a goal set in me here. I want to learn this. I want to become great at it. And I want to be able to, put that into our agency and help agents with that as well. So.
Yeah, this is why I tell people like this is where focus comes in because now it's to a point where you just have to do the boring work at
Yeah.
scale.
Yes.
And this is why I like taking emotions out of business because they truly have no place in it because then you feel like you lose motivation. And I'm just saying have that drive in you.
Yeah.
To just keep doing the boring stuff. And that's usually the big separator.
It is. And it's hard for people. I mean, and I hope there's people out there that are watching this that have the same type of competitive nature, things like that feel the same way I do, because I'm hoping it helps you out. But, it's finding something. It's not something new. I don't want to leave this industry. I love this industry. I love helping people. But I'm like, what can I do that can add a challenge to my plate? I need that challenge.
Doing the boring work. I think that's probably the biggest challenge you got.
Well, yes, it is. It is. It's coming up with the motivation to get up and do the boring work every day. But what can I add new that's gonna help us and help others? We're only helping a small group of of people, that are in the simplified issue world. How can I expand and help more people that are, that strictly want Medicare or strictly want this or that? Next is going to be annuities. I'm going to see what I can, after we get Medicare built up, I'm going to go to the annuity side and we're going to do that. So that, that's just kind of the plan I have for myself, because that's how I operate. And I understand me, I understand how I work. And, that's what I'm going to do. I got to find those things. And I think, that should take me some time. I don't think it's going to, it's not going to be easy. I know that. I've been through it on one side. I know that it's going to be difficult, but it's a challenge that me and my team are willing to take on, and we're going to run with it, man. I think it's helped motivate me, but I do want to hit you up on that deal. I'd love to experience what you're talking about and go through that. If that's something we can set up, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, it's like a timeline therapy, unconscious, like habit deletion, installation. It's some pretty cool stuff, dude. You're like, I didn't know my mind. Because, dude, what's amazing to me is humans use less than 5% of their brain capacity. And so, like, when I saw Tony Robbins' movie for the first time in like 2017, whenever it came out, I'm not your guru. Like, I wanted to learn all these techniques and habits he was using to save people from suicide in like 10 to 15 minutes. Because, like, I wouldn't know how they felt unless I've been at those points in life myself.
Yeah.
I think any entrepreneur who has not said maybe the world is better off without me, like, I think everyone has had a point like that, whether they want to admit it or not. I just have no problem, because I know it's a normal human function to feel depressed or anything like that. But I do not let those emotions get in the way. And showing people how to control their emotions and get rid of all these expectations. Like, I think they are truly lifesavers, because, like, I personally tell every person who comes through Running Buddies, I do not give a shit who you are as an insurance producer. I care about who you are as a person. Because if you're a good person, you'll be a great insurance agent.
Yeah, that says a lot.
Like a good football player. You can't be a great football player and a terrible husband.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work like that. Your wheel of life is all intertwined. How you are spiritually is how you are business. It's how you are in relationships. So I really like showing people how to master that. That's why I charge so much for one-on-one time, because it allows them to take back control of their life. I'm not Tony Robbins, but I'd say I'm better at things than he is, just like he's better at things than I am.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't know the most about life insurance. So that's the beauty of riches are in the niches.
Exactly.
He's helping high-level business executives like Ray Dalio, and I'm helping the next Dave Duford, the next Jeremiah Tacker, the next me become a superstar. Like what I did with Johnny Nidifin, that kid wasn't doing nothing, and he went to writing like 15 to 25 grand a week in insurance sales a couple months.
He's killing it, man. Killing it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what caused the change? It was all beliefs.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. I mean, the one thing that I've heard, and I've never really heard this a lot up until about the last probably 3 to 6 months, is speak it into existence. I've heard so many people.
It's your reticular activating system.
Yeah. And the one thing that resonated with me is I was watching the All-Star game this year, and you can go back and replay it, but I think it's where who's the hitter for the Red Sox? I can't remember his name. But he goes in the dugout. He's an announcer, so in the dugout, and he was talking to one of the pitchers, and I think it was one of the pitchers, and he's like, "I'm going to speak it into existence. I'm going to strike out the side. I'm going to speak it into existence." And that resonated with me, because I'm a baseball player. That's kind of, it's cool to hear guys that you idolize, that are playing Major League Baseball, say those things. And now I hear just everybody's saying that, speak it into existence and make it happen. And I try to portray that to my kids, because it is. If you speak it out loud, you hear it, and it just sets your mindset. I mean, it sets you up for success if you can do that. And
what the other thing that matters.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can, and honestly, I thought I was weird when I'm in the car and I'm talking to myself, and, and I'm, giving myself positive, speeches and stuff like that. But there's a lot of successful people that actually do that, that I didn't know. When I'm talking to people, and I'm like, man, I'll be on a car ride and I'll be just talking to myself, and like, dude, I do the same thing. And he's like,
I just personally wanted to learn why that works.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I went and got I'm going to be doing my first NLP, like trainers training, to where I certify other people in NLP.
Yeah.
It's like, by far the best tool that I've ever found or discovered, because it's just using the power of language
Yeah.
in the brain. Like natural intelligence up here. If you learn to use more of your brain capacity, I'm telling you, you can have whatever you want in life. Like this whole manifestation and speak what you want. Like I talk to myself all the time. People are like, the doctors ask, do you talk to yourself? And I have to tell them no, because if I tell them yes, then people in the damn white lab coats are going to come get me, and I'll never have another YouTube broadcast. Like,
Exactly. You
I
might be in
talk to
trouble.
myself all the time, man. Like, dude, I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you, even though there's more to do.
Yeah.
It's like people lie to themselves. I'm not good enough. When you tell yourself that over and over enough, you accept that habit, and
You
everything
do.
you do will be half-assed, even the dishes. And then your wife's going to slap you because there's spaghetti stains that are 2 weeks old because you just used the dishwasher for something.
Exactly. My 17-year-old struggles with that right now. He's really hard on himself. And I get it. I get it that
Were you ever hard on yourself?
Oh yeah,
That's
yes.
probably where he gets the habit from, because, dude, we all plant seeds. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, you never know who's watching.
Yeah, but I didn't know what I know now, which I'm trying to teach him some of those things. Like, hey, dude, I mean, I get it. You didn't have the best game today, but guess what? You went 2 for 3 yesterday. And you went 1 for 2 today. Like you're still 3 for 6, dude. You're still batting 500. I mean, that's it's pretty good. And most people would take that. Like it's not. So I try to instill in him like to think more positive. Yes, just because you didn't do something right or this doesn't mean you need to be hard on yourself. It doesn't help you at all to be hard on yourself. It's not going to. It's going to actually make things worse than if you were to spin that around into a positive state, and it'll make it 100 times better. So I'm with you there.
Moving from the effect side of the equation to cause. What did I do to cause this effect? And when you
Yes.
stop being an effect and start being a cause, it's the empowerment frame. And it just allows, like, most people can see things not for what they are, but worse than they are.
Yeah.
It's like
And that's
focusing on the wrong part.
yeah, that's what most people. Most people can see the worst. No, not a lot can see the better.
Well, they just say things worse than they are.
Yeah.
Like they'll see $100 bill, and instead of just seeing it as $100 bill, they'll say, "Well, this must have been used by a stripper or something. I can still smell cocaine." I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. But dude, I'll be respectful of your time. Super appreciative of you coming on here. Been meaning to do this for a while. We'll have to get together in person here soon. But Jeremiah, where can agents find you at, dude, if they want to come work with you?
Yeah, you can hit us up on our website. So go to www.T as in Tom, P as in Paul, P as in Paul, N as in Nancy, Amerilife.com. Or you can call me, man. I'll give my cell phone. It's 319-721-4212. Call me, text me, whatever. I'm here to help. Whatever I can do, hit me up. If I'm available, I'll make sure. Or I can shoot me a text, and I can shoot you my Calendly link too, so you can set up a time on my calendar. We can visit. But Mason, I do appreciate it, man. I know it's been a while since we hooked up and together and been talking about this. So yes, I appreciate you having me on. Love listening to you. Love being on today. Hopefully we helped some folks out today. And yes,
Hopefully we did. Someone will take some value out of this. Quick
exactly.
question. Who taught you how to leave your number on a podcast? Why'd you do that?
I mean, it's the only way I have an office phone, but man, you can't text it. You can't do those things. And sometimes I'm just not always available for a phone call, and a lot of meetings, a lot of things going on. So text is an easy way to get a hold of me. So
it's just funny because that's what I've done on quite a few podcasts, and Johnny started picking it up, and now I hear you say it.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed. My wife,
dude, it's so easy.
Yeah, my wife listened to my last one, and she's like, "You left your cell phone on the thing." I'm like, "Yeah, I did." She's like, "That was dumb." I go, "No, it's not. That's the best
thing to do, because you can help somebody, and personally, I don't see that as humble.
No, it's. I know I can help somebody. I know that it's a way you can get a hold of me. The best way you can get a hold of me, and I am just again very blessed to be able to do this and want to share as much as I can. So take that number, jot it down, hit me up, text. You can hit me up on our website, whatever you need to. Give me a phone call. I'll shoot you my Calendly link. I love to talk to you. And Mason, yes, next time we're doing this in person, man. I'll be there right next to you.
Got some memes. Leave a comment about your favorite part of this if you watched it all the way through. I typically have like 100 people who will actually watch these things all the way through. So I know those people will get immense value out of this. So you guys, please leave a like and a comment. It helps the channel out, helps Jeremiah out, get his message out there to help people, as he's been blessed enough to receive the good fortunes from that. But until next time, let's get lit, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Thanks, Mason. See you guys.